Indeed, and greetings upon you, yes, you, beloved and holy friend. Flat brain, flat world. Yep, the world is flat, dude. It's a disc. It's not a globe. Please, please don't even get me started, dude. Thank you for joining us. I feel it is kind of in tune with what we want to talk about today, though. We want to talk about how maybe I should just like straight up drop the Stoic quote. I think it's Seneca. Man or woman worry more. No, 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 no. There are more things to be alarmed by than there are things to be harmed by. And man then worries more than he actually suffers. Suffers more in mind than he actually does in actuality, right? Like we do ourselves in. We literally wreck ourselves just by worrying about all of the what ifs. And more often than not, the what ifs that we worry about don't even pan out the way that we think they were. They pan out better. And just trying to remind myself of that today, trying to address that part of ourselves. Going to read something we're saying. We'll go through a little bit of a contemplation. That is the right word. It's not necessarily completely a meditation. It's not completely a guide, but it's a contemplation of the different parts of ourselves. My desire is to know the truth that can set all of mankind free. That is a little bit of a hectic one. Yo, okay. My desire is to know the truth that will set all of mankind free. Can it be not worrying about all of the what ifs? Is that how we set mankind free? Hey, it's Merman! Dude, I actually read your little letter? Technically a letter, where you listed who gave me the different items. And I was like looking at your fossil again. And I was just sending you so much love, brother bear. Thank you for joining me. Kira Burb, so nice to see you here as well. Flat brain, flat head. Which axis would it be flattened in? That's the question. Would I be flat brained, in this direction, or would I be flat brained in this direction? Which way would I get squashed? That's the question for today. Hey, Siobhan and Shannon. Shannon's next. I love this daily routine. As do I. I love you. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to say again. I don't know if you were here to hear it. Today's whole stream is about how we worry about the what ifs in a negative way. Like we gain these informational sets from outside, and our mind generates the worst possible outcome in a way to try and defend us, right? It's like, oh, this is the most horrible thing that can possibly happen. And then it convinces you that that will happen, and then it starts, you prepare yourself for that to happen. You can be like, okay, I'm gonna react this way and this way and this way, and then you can kind of, at least I tried to, free myself, as our conclusion based says. Exactly, friend. So again, we'll read the thing we're saying again. We'll do our contemplation, and then I'll dive right into it, if we will. My desire is to know the truth that can set all of mankind free. Don't live like you are imprisoned in your body. Your life shall become that which demonstrates to many the truth that only love is true. I am as you are. How about that? Let's find ourselves where it is we are right now. Are you in a body? Sure. Are you on a planet? Mm, they tell me so. Are you in a galaxy? In a universe? Are you here? Where are you? Are you everywhere? Yes. But in this moment, let's actually just find ourselves here, breathing in this moment, right? Feel what that breath feels like, the texture of it. If you're breathing in through your nose or your mouth, notice, not judging, not choosing one or another, but then just noticing how it is you're choosing to breathe right now. Leading into the security of knowing your next breath is already waiting for you. You can exhale, not worrying about your next inhale. And you can inhale, not worrying if you'll be able to exhale. What a blessing to be alive, to be in this moment now. Bringing our attention to our bodies. You can look at your hands, you can look at your legs, you can look at the seat you're sitting on, you can look at the environment you find yourself in, and try and see different infinities within all of the things, where they came from, maybe, where these came from, how long whatever the thing is you're looking at has been there, how long it is going to stay there, how much it has meant to you, and how much it is going to continue meaning to you going forward. Realize then in this moment that you are the secure point to which that meaning is attached. That you are the very thing that assigns meaning to all of these things that you're seeing in your environment. And in so doing, you as the observer, let yourself observe things. That you're not a victim to that, but that you're choosing it. Allow yourself to feel into that choice, to feel into that lesson, to feel into that moment in your life where things feel like they're falling apart. Things are just like disintegrating, melting. And yet, there you are, eliciting that response. Stable, ceaseless, creative. You cannot be separate from any of it. And yet, it can really feel, I know, especially these last few weeks, friends. It's been brutal for a lot of us. Like a lot of us, the more people I get to talk to, the more I realize just for how many of us it's been difficult. But realize that these difficulties are not you, that they are but the things that you are aware of, and that these things can serve your awareness. You can use these moments of turmoil, these moments of separation, as an opportunity to reunite, an opportunity to feel into the connected nature of everything. To realize that you have creatively created so many aspects of your life and that you find yourself in such a beautiful conundrum. That you get to solve problems that you thought you knew how to solve, but now you just get to solve them again. And we continue solving these problems and we continue feeling into these lessons and we will continue growing as we solve these problems. And every single problem we solve, we serve the whole. Flossie shared this beautiful understanding. It's my yoga teacher training teacher. She shared this beautiful understanding about the way that we are all united. And I've shared this understanding with a few friends, but this is a beautiful analogy. And she mentioned you can think of it as an octopus, you know, a main body, a main head, and then arms. Even though it is a singularity, it is a unity, it finds itself in 8 different places at the same time. And each one of those arms have, receptors and have neurons in that arm. And when that arm learns something about its environment, about problem solving, that information gets transferred to the main brain and then distributed to the next arms. To think of the beauty, the creatively infinite universe you're a part of, and to take responsibility in a way where you can think of every single lesson that you've learned, every single issue that you've transcended, every single trauma that you have weathered, and still been a loving person regardless of. Here you are, doing conscious work, serving the whole of humanity. Humanity as family. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for everything that you've willed to do. None of these things would have been done if you didn't will it so. You wouldn't have been here in this moment if you did not will it so. So just honoring that willpower in you, that ability to drive, that ability to go forth, tune in, do something, create something. How magnificent. How freaking magnificent you are. Genuinely. Goodness. Oh, to lean into this part of ourselves with a sense of compassion, a sense of an understanding of what is inside of us, a loving attention to one another, to the messages in all of our hearts, to the message in the trees, in the birds, the songs, in the dogs playing, to be open to receiving love. Love is everywhere. Literally everywhere. All you have to do is open yourself up and receive it. And in opening yourself up to receive, you can't help but give. You can't help but give. You complete that infinite loop. Receiving bleeds into the giving, and giving bleeds into the receiving. A concept that you have been so aware of since the day you came into this world, when you took your first breath. Receiving your first life force and giving prana back, your expression of the infinity, your turbulence. If the butterfly flap on the other side of the world can create tsunamis and hurricanes, what can you do? What can you do? Every single breath that you've taken, every single move that you've made, every single person that you've touched, how many ripples that you've sent throughout the infinite universe, how many lives will you touch going into the future, even if it's by proxy? In the spirit of touching lives, I ask for us all to have the wisdom, the ability, the understanding to articulate, but most importantly, to listen, to know what is supposed to be said, and to know when things shouldn't be said. Might even be more important. To be compassionate with the things you say to yourself, the things you say to the people closest to you, the things you say to the people that you don't even know. And I ask for the wisdom to be able to listen to information without accepting it as truth. Again, I ask for the wisdom to be able to receive information without accepting it as truth. So often we receive alarming information about our world, about the situations that's going on, about what we're supposed to be scared of, and we can get so infatuated, so caught up in the illusion that we hurt ourselves. We ruin our current moment. We ruin our ability to be present. We make presence unbearable because we listen and we receive, but we don't necessarily always know how to mediate how much we believe. It is with this intention that I ask for insight, intuition, to be able to see when things are poking at my ego, when things are supposed to throw me off course, when things are supposed to be difficult, and how I'm supposed to learn from those difficulties, how I'm supposed to notice that these difficulties are but more illusion, more play, more stories. And instead of getting completely enthralled and invested in the story, to see what's being said behind the story, to extract the lesson from the story. And ultimately to recognize that we are both storyteller and listener, listener and storyteller, that we've never been separate and that we never can be separate, that we are infinitely connected. And within infinite connection, we have the opportunity to share love with one another. Taking this opportunity to share love with one another. Thank you, friends, for joining me. It is so nice to have you here. I think I missed a bunch of the YouTube comments. Aiden is joining us. Sorry, after today, Shannon. Do you know why? Said you love friend. Thank you for joining us, Brother Bear. It's nice to have you here. Hey, my Reddit did a bonk. We did go front page at least, and I feel for that little rant, it was perfectly in tune. So every single person, I hope at least, who lived into that space, who felt some of that stuff, take it with you, friends. Take it with you. Go and share it with the world. Let's try that again. Boom. I do believe we're live again on the Reddit. I'm so sorry. All of those comments back into infinity. His phone. Hi, Fred. My phone died, so here I am. Thank you for joining us, Isaac. It's so nice to have you here today. I've been feeling off as well. I'm in that space with you, and we will be on the other side once again. So soon. I just know it. My friend planning on stopping by in our chat tonight. Please do. And it's gonna be okay, Isaac. I'm sure as well. And I like that's why I actually like directly address the fact that we have been going through these difficulties, because it's not just us. It's not just us in this space with this support system, but it's everybody. And I can't even imagine how people without support systems are doing it. Like I cannot even picture it. So thank you, friends, for finding yourself here. Good to see you once again on this beautiful day. It's nice to see you too, United. Thank you for joining us, friend. I'm having dinner with my parents, so I might be a bit late, but I can hopefully catch you guys for sure. Thank you, Aiden. I appreciate you considering, making the effort to. No pressure. I'm glad you're getting a nice dinner with your folks. I hope it's a nice time with you, friend. Thank you for the love, Isaac. Thank you, Shannon, for you, friend, for you joining me in this moment. Nice to see you, Gray. It's been a while, dude. Mm. How has life been treating you? Ooh, how do you feel? How have you been treating you? That's the real question. Brother Ryan, thank you for joining me as well. So nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us on the Reddit again. All of those comments are there somewhere. I'll still read them afterwards, but I won't be able to respond to them in real time. Feeling lots of stuff, lots of stuff. I feel like the universe is trying to tell me something. Shannon, we're evolving, and it's not comfortable. Mm-mm-mm. Like there is a big, moon coming right now as well, and apparently it's gonna affect the Taurus star sign, and I happen to be a Taurus, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're fine. And it's like, oh yeah, these things, these transformations are coming. I know shit has been hectic, it says to me, but just hold on, here it comes. And I'm like, oh, all right. We don't know, but we know, right? At least we know enough to be here, to find ourselves in these moments, to have these conversations, to try and be present, regardless of how almost like unconscious inducing the current situations are, right? Like the stuff that we've been going through are pushing us towards our comfort zones. Like we are putting in discomfort in so many different ways, on emotional levels, on financial levels, on relationships, on jobs. Like there's so much stuff happening to all of us as humanity right now, and at the same time we seek that comfort, and that comfort is pushing us towards our desires and towards these things that we know don't necessarily serve us. And it's okay, right? Like if these things are helping us in these moments, then it's what we need. It's literally what is supposed to be for us to continue. But just realizing, seeing these patterns of inside of ourselves, realizing that in this current difficult state we're going through, we are tending towards certain things, right? Like this is an opportunity not for us to judge ourselves, but for us to see where our difficulties lie. Mine, probably addiction, right? Like addiction to food, addiction to coffee, addiction to marijuana. Like those things are difficult for me to just go without. I mean, like Melt, you need food. I like sugar. I really like sugar, but my body doesn't like sugar that much. And just being able to witness these things inside of myself, watch as I'm creating these narratives of need inside of myself, how these desires arise, and then being able to be like, oh, okay, I'm going through difficulties. I'm experiencing a certain set of emotions. I'm experiencing a certain set of like discomforts within my current state, within my environment. And as a result of this discomfort, these are my coping mechanisms. These are the things that I fall back on. And then being able to look at those things and be like, does this thing serve me? No? Okay, let's do that one in moderation. Does this one have a better use case? Can I do it with more intention? Can I create a better ritual around how I'm going to do this thing? Yes? I'm going to do that. Can I, implement certain practices in my life that might be serving in the same way, in a beneficial way, these coping mechanisms that I'm already using? And instead of judging ourselves in this current state of difficulty that we're all going through, just being able to witness, being able to see, oh, that's an interesting behavior you are manifesting there. Noted. Right? Not like, how dare you? You absolute no story. No, just like, oh, yeah, neat. I see. Oh, you do that as well. Okay, cool. What? Asking yourself why. And then learning from yourself. Like you were the best teacher, friends, at the end of the day. No pressure. Thank you, Mel. Lots of stuff. I'm feeling like I made progress yesterday. I had an insanely inward thinking day. Ended the day with my first ever Reddit stream that I missed. I had the most perfect experience. Progress has been made. It will ceaselessly be made. And just allowing ourselves that as well. Like you're making progress, friend. Believe that. Feel that with inside of yourself. Even if you I don't believe you can take any steps back. And I mean, you know, like I've been making progress towards my health goals for like years now, for like 6 years. And I'm like only now getting close to where I thought I wanted to be 6 years ago. And I'm like so aware of all of the things that I had to go through, all of the things I had to learn, all of the experiences that I had to come along with where I am right now, that it gives me more appreciation for where it is I am right now. Like if I just got it like that when I was 18, for example, I might have not pursued it right now, and I wouldn't have had like such a full understanding about how I'm supposed to be doing it. And you cannot take steps back. And even though during this whole process, like I completely relapsed and became like, in my opinion, absurdly overweight. Like when you're like 40 kilograms overweight, not 40 kilograms, 40 pounds overweight, I believe that's like too much for me, because then I'm feeling lethargic and I'm feeling heavy, and like there's a whole experience that goes along with that for me. And it's been fluctuating where I gain, and then I'm like, this is not something that serves me, and then I lose it again, but then I lose just enough to feel okay. Now I feel okay again, and then I take that as an opportunity to not do what I'm supposed to do again, and then I'm like, oh, why does it didn't work? I'm not story, and it's genuinely this process of like, even though I've taken these steps back, I have not gotten as much growth as I could have. I've grown in different ways. Even though the physical representation of the growth that I've been experiencing might not be as visible, the mental growth is something that's ceaseless. Like you never stop growing in mind. Salty Malalti, thank you for joining us, dude. It's nice to have you here, brother bear. Shrinking. I'm in such awe of just everything. Like everything is sinking in deeper, melting into every single crack, Shannon, just know, Shannon, all it takes is listening when we feel that way. We don't have to find an answer. We will know when we've passed the point. So right, dude. And on top of it all, I ran out of propane last night, so I currently have no heat or hot water. Shannon, do people come and deliver propane, or do you have to go to a store and like refill your bottle? Please do let us know. I have a small tentative amount of faith in astrological signs, but I definitely feel like I feel the Taurus wildness as of late. No, y'all, you know how I talked about making mala meditation necklaces? I finally did it. Turned out pretty well. I learned a lot, and the next ones are gonna be better. But I put pics in the Discord. Thank you for sharing, Aiden. I'll go and check it out for that day. Oh goodness, Shannon. I'm so sorry. When you do think about when do you think you'll have heat again? Is it dangerously cold near you? And is there anything I can do for you, friend? Please do let us know. Check it out on your stream. I'm also actually curious, Shannon. Yeah, I have to check it out, Isaac. Me too. It's more a conversation and me just playing around with my clay, practicing making some coins. It is you, brother Bay. That is what it's about. I can't wait to see the pics. I feel you, Aiden. Astrology is something I don't live into. Like, Flossie said something beautiful yesterday where she was like, it is potential. It is not fate, right? Like, it isn't going to happen. Like, these things aren't just like set in stone, they're potential. And you can live into that potential if you want to in your own way, in your own life, in your own experience. And I agree with what you're saying as well. Like, it's not something that I invest any energy into. Like, I'm not going to read my astrological sign of the day story. I don't even know how to like say the words for what it's supposed to be. But like when she said that yesterday, that there's this new moon coming and it's gonna do something to the Taurus field, I was like, oh, okay. Well, she didn't even say that. She just said something about a new moon and transformation. And I've been trying to do like conscious manifestation work. I have this little manifestation booklet, and I want to manifest on like significant days of change as well. And a significant day of change is going to be the 30th when this like moon is coming. And then as I'm like doing research about it, it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna affect the Tauruses. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. More information. And all of the information that was shared there, at least to me in that moment, felt like it was very synchronous. I felt a sense of, maybe there are some truths in this as well. Actually, it is what it is. Of an overly emotional person nurturing cancer. And I like fit the bill for a Taurus as well, dude. So like they do have some synchronicities. I was thinking about doing something like that, Isaac. And I did, and doing a Reddit stream and making a mala necklace. Please, by the bay, we would love to see you. You sharing your essence. I called on a propane delivery scheduled for tomorrow. Thank you for letting us know, Shannon. I'm happy to hear that. Heck yeah, I can be so nice to just chat. It helped me show up for my art as well. I did it for like 2 hours, and I felt so into my work since I had loving company, right? And like, what a surreal experience it is, right? When you feel that community of like this supportive structure, just being there with you as you're doing your work. Like that is how I initially started these Reddit streams, and I was like, goodness, this is something that I need to continue doing, dude. So I'm so happy that you get to experience that as well. It's currently 29 degrees. That is kind of cold, right? That is kind of cold, Shannon. I hope you're under a blankie. Are you gonna start streaming? I hope so. Goodness, I'm glad you have it tomorrow, Shannon. Keep the doors closed and everything sealed. Lots of blankets and a space heater. I hope you have it. Please do let us know you're gonna stay warm, Shannon. I am Jovan. I'd like to I'd like to do my clay. The therapy stream is coming down the pipe. Just a lot of groundwork to do on that. So just distance socializing, art slash chill streams for me. This is the start, brother Bay. Like finding yourself in that space. Like I genuinely believe it's a type of therapy as well because you get to this point where you have to admit certain things to yourself, and then you can notice there's parts of yourself that feels like it needs to cater, it needs to be something that it's not, and then you can kind of like steer that, and you can like, oh, oh, I see. No, rather not. Rather, stay with myself, try and do what it is I'm doing, and how people's, interpretations of what it is you're doing, how that influences you. It's gonna be cool, dude. I look forward to hearing what you're experiencing as you're growing through this process. Little bug. Oh wow, that's pretty cold, Shannon. Be safe. Definitely bundle up. I'm sure she will. Homie, I'm gonna read those notifications. Excited to chill your next stream. Thank you so much, Jovan. Please do like tag us actually. Like then we can actually find you, Isaac. Grace saying you make me feel in the moment and take time to look at things with so much love. Thank you. Thank you, Gray. Like you looking at things with love. That is what I'm here to do, friend. That is the role I'm here to play. So the fact that you're seeing love means that my job is done. Seeing love means that more love is seen, and I imagine it as like there is this hyperdimensional container somewhere in the universe, and every single moment that someone spends living in a loving state of existence contribute to that container of love, and we want it to like just melt over and like flow all over our planet, like absolutely melting loving goo spatting everywhere. I'm so excited. I won't be doing it tonight, but probably some more tomorrow. Do let us know, please, Isaac. Thank you so much, Brother Bear. Can I ask about the title, please, Jovan? Oh, okay, actually. So, yeah, the title today. Got so into it that I completely forgotten what it was, the lesson was that I feel I was supposed to learn today. So, I wake up, and the last few weeks, well, the last week or so, I've been doing this experiment where I have an alarm for 9 o'clock. I usually wake up before that, but I don't touch my phone, excuse me, until that 9 o'clock alarm goes off. And I do rather have this little bit of a pattern, a ritual where I bring my cell phone with me and then I go and sit on the patio and I'll look at the morning sun and I'll have it shine on my eyes and I'll just like kind of look at the trees and then I'll wait until it's 9 a.m. and then I'll allow myself to touch my phone and actually start using my screens to be able to interact. And today, coming to the patio, my dad was sitting outside and he was having a conversation with someone. And I can hear this tension in his voice and in the conversations being had. And the person who he's talking to is on loudspeaker, and she has tension in her voice. And there is like like a little bit of aggressor back and forth. And it's about our electric bill, where our electric bill usually is like 600, $800, at most $1,000, and this month it came out to like $1,800, if it's not a little bit more, like something around there, which is ridiculous. It's way too much. And there was like this dispute of like, oh, this is how it is and the bill needs to be paid, and if the bill isn't paid the power is gonna have to be switched off. But my dad is like, oh, but that's impossible, bill is too high, it can't be that, something must be wrong. And then they ended the call, and I like greet my dad. I'm like, good morning, goeiemorgen papa. And he's like, oh, more. Like kind of like angry at me as well, and I'm like, oh, I didn't do anything, but okay. And he's like, ja, Lakers willen ons kracht gaan afzet. Hulle gaan ons krag kom afzet, say hij. Like they're gonna come and switch off our power. And I was like, oh, okay. When? I asked, and he's like, I don't know. I asked like a when type of question. Oh yeah. I was like, when? And he's like, I don't know. And then I asked, are they gonna do it today? And then he's like, I don't know. And I was like, oh, okay. So he basically just like leaves. I was I think I was like sitting and meditating a little bit more, and he just leaves. He drives somewhere, and I go and I like switch on my computer, and a little bit later, my brother comes to the room and he's like, just like switch off your electronics because the power is going to be cut soon. And like while I was having this conversation, like waking up and trying to get into my normal ritual of like calmness at the start of my morning, instantly this information of like, oh, no electricity, that's your reality now. It's like being poured into me, and I was like really like mauling, like grinding my own gears on the inside about this scenario. And like I kind of let it go a little bit, was just distracting myself with my computer. And my brother comes in, he's like, oh, they're gonna switch the power off. And instantly in that moment, I was like, in a state of surrender. I realized, I was like, oh, they're actually gonna do it. And I switched my computer off and I asked him, okay, so what's the plan then? When are they gonna switch it back on, or like what are we gonna do? And they're like, oh, they're just here to actually replace the meters. So we had these analog meters that has this little wheel spinning and numbers ticking on it, and now they're replacing it with a digital meter. So they like ripped these boxes out. They switched the power off from around 10 a.m. up until just past 2. And during that time of not having power, I went and I did some yoga. I got to do yoga. I like this kind of flow where I usually have to like break almost like 10 minutes into it because it's a little bit intense, and I could push myself almost through the entire exercise routine without having to take any breaks. And I was like feeling amazing for that, and I was like, hell yeah, having this experience. And then I just came and sat down again, and I had this moment of realization where the morning that I had, the initial story that was like put into my mind was this one of fear, technically, right? This fear of separation, being separated from energy and not being able to do my job because I don't have access to energy. And I was like, nah, 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 story. Like, I even sent like Christian a message asking if I can come through sooner because like at least I'll have electricity in the city. And like my mind was just reeling with this like trying to problem solve how I'm going to continue doing what it is I'm doing without electricity. And then when the time came, the problem got solved without me having to do anything, and I'm just like tripping out. I'm tripping out about this difficult day I had when there was like, if for example, if I didn't have this routine, if I didn't try and meditate in my morning, I wouldn't have come here. If I didn't come here, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to hear that conversation. I wouldn't have had the opportunity for my dad to, you know, implant that message, plant that seed, and then I wouldn't have been, watering this seed all day, growing this tree of despair in my mind. And then I realized, but I chose. I chose all of it. I like literally, it was you, dude. You chose to be there. You chose to have that conversation with your dad. You chose to listen, to some of the stuff that was being said. And now you're choosing to create this narrative of like, oh no, oh this and this story. And it's like literally this again, this quote, this Stoic quote. I think it's by Seneca. There are more things to be alarmed by than there are things to be harmed by. And so men or women suffer more in mind than they do in actuality. Like I didn't suffer at all in actuality. Like, well, I mean, I went without power for like 4 and a bit hours, but I didn't suffer at all in actuality because that was just them solving the problem. And in mind, I was like in turmoil, in this like constant, perpetual. And that's what I wanted to talk about. That's why I wanted to talk about this topic today, because we do that. We do that so much, and I feel like we keep gaining this information, we keep gaining this awareness, but we keep making those mistakes over and over again. And I'm again not saying that you making those mistakes makes you a bad person or it makes you lesser. It's just about noticing these things, being able to, being willing to notice that things are rarely as bad as they seem in our minds, that we prepare for the worst case scenario because it is evolutionary beneficial to do so. If you are prepared for the worst case, then even if the worst case doesn't happen, you'll be prepared for all of the less worst cases. But it's not something that necessarily serves us, it just ruins our experience until we get there. And if you created this whole what if scenario in your mind and it does end up happening, then you've suffered twice. Then you did it to yourself twice. It's not enough to just suffer once when the actual bad thing happens, but you got to perpetually think about how bad it's gonna be over and over and over again before it happened as well. You freaking stop it, brain, please. This morning I used my mala beads and ran through a mantra. Just giving myself the clarity before I started my morning really made a difference. I'm really trying to tear away from my phone just for a little bit, dude. Like even if it's just like a 9 to 10 hour period of time that we don't spend on our phones, it's already beneficial. Spending time to be in the morning is so important. Lately, I've been waking up right before work and jumping in right away. It has not been good for me. It's not, dude. Like I feel it's a big, big, big important point for us to just spend some time with ourselves first thing in the morning. Otherwise, we're like constantly projecting our consciousness outward without actually referencing what is true. Would you make those necklaces and sell, Aiden? If so, I would love to buy one to support a friend. Thank you so much, Shannon, for even saying it. I'll definitely tag y'all. I wouldn't be able to stream until Saturday, but I'll probably do it for that. I would adore that, Shannon. I'm still figuring out a good price, but I would love to support. Thank you, Aiden, for being willing to say yes. Please let me know, Aiden. I'm very much looking forward to it. That's what if conundrum is really tough. We have a plan or expectation of our day, and the minute it starts changing without our intention, we immediately start to think of the chain of effects. Yeah, we think how it's going to change the rest of the day and immediately start coming up with solutions to problems that have not occurred at all yet. That's exactly what I was doing, dude. Like to a T. It's crazy, right? Like, and we do that over and over again. Like, why? I feel like it's because we're almost too much in our minds. Like my ego. That's the one thing my ego cannot handle right now, right? Not having access to energy because I have made this commitment. And even though this commitment is made from a place of soul, a place of the infinite nature of myself, now my ego is on board. It's like, yeah, sick. Infinite? Yeah, I can do infinite, and then, no power. Start screaming. No problems, and yet I'm still trying to problem solve. What reminds me of letting go of this is what is going to happen, is remembering what it is remembering what it was like to be a young child. We didn't have freedom of where we went. We didn't have power to buy things. We didn't have power to buy things or freedom to go where we wanted to go. But energy has been something that I've like, think about it. Like, we've never not had energy. Like, as human beings, in this age, it's kind of surreal. Like, we're already cyborgs. I have more details in the Discord if you want to fill the chat with just my stuff. Aiden, you are encouraged to, brother Bet. We love and appreciate you. So anything you want to share, we're here with you. Man, I have a little bit of burps. Yes. We went where parents said, and we did, and we saw people and had experiences not based on what we decided to pursue, but what was given to us. I long for that feeling of just tagging along, flying by the seat. We must remember that we are still those kids adrift to the day. We have more influence, but no need to worry because we know we can handle what happens. That we can. Whew. I feel, if anything, like commit to only solving problems that are real. And it sounds like I sound to myself stupid for saying that, and yet it makes perfect sense to the smart part of myself. Commit to only solving problems that are real. All right? Like, just what does that feel like to you right now? We must remember. Oh Lord, I feel this so much, Isaac. Isaac is in tune, so in tune. Thank you, brother Bear. Smoke weed every day. Smoking weed every day is not good for you, friend. Salty, Velarty, love the shirt. I love you, Green Comment. Thank you, Helio. Why are you so energetic? I'm taking care of myself better than I ever have. That helps. I exercise. That helps. I practice good hygiene. At least I think I do. I shower daily. That helps. I spend time meditating. That helps. I try and be aware as I can be. And I believe that all of these previous things allows that awareness to come out, because that awareness, that wakefulness, the thing that you are as soon as you open your eyes and you peer into this world, that is something that is infinitely awake. Like, it's, you down regulate that side of yourself, you go to sleep if anything, but then that awakeness just transcends into a different space. So that part of ourselves is always energized, and I'm just trying to live into that side of myself as much as I can. Conclusion: infinite cognition. Where are you, man? Where do you live? Nods. Dope. I live in South Africa, friend. Thank you for joining me. South Africa and a farm. I think you're right, Gray. Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, Earth were aligned just yesterday. Okay. I'm happy that I pulled some cards then, actually. I pulled some pretty cool cards. I mean, I pulled one cool card and one of the cards like flew out. And then I have six upside down cards that I'll be flipping as the days go by. So, to touch on that topic, I'm a Taurus. How will this affect Taurus people? I'm very curious now. Infinite cognition. I won't call myself an expert. I won't even call myself a novice. I won't even call myself a beginner when it comes to knowing what these astrological signs are supposed to do. And I don't ever think that I will become a professional or expert in these things, because I don't necessarily, again, lies we tell ourselves to reveal truths about ourselves. They're just these things that allow us some potential. So you can go and Google the 30th, astrological event that's happening, You can read whatever they're gonna give you to read. Someone like you as consciousness chose to write those words, set it into the world, and then you as consciousness gets to read those words and then experience your own effect, right? Experience what it is you are going to elicit from that. And that is what's valuable, your elicited response, right? So I can't tell you, you have to go and find for yourself. Happening the next 10 centuries at least. Dude, I tried smoking weed through that tubular fossil I sent you. It was a fail though. The tube ends too soon. Dude, that's freaking awesome. Thank you, Merman, for like adding that little fractal in my mind as well. Thanks, Merman. I lost the stream. I couldn't respond. Lisa, thank you for joining us. Thank you for today's message. Thank you, Apart Possession, for being open and listening. How about solar energy? Solar energy is a fantastic idea. Like, me and my dad actually talk about that a lot. It's just expensive. Like, when we have the capital to actually do that, we plan to. Got me feeling things. That's what it's about, Jovan. Thank you for feeling, friend. Does this not tie into letting go of expectations? Yes, it does. Perfectly, Eden. Thank you for reminding me of that as well. Mention expectations on YouTube. At the same time, I'm not surprised, Jovan. The synchronicities. Grateful. Thank you for the calculating. Like, imagine maths, you know, just like melt. Like me dating myself, or like showing that I don't know maths. Yes, imagine all of the maths going around like this. Are you sitting in the Garden of Eden? Yes, Martin. I am. You know, I call it planet Earth, and I happen to be like on the surface of this little speck of mud, dude. It's like 70% water. It's pretty radical. Thank you for joining me on Eden, Martin. It's nice to have you here, friend. I think I missed a few. We must remember, I already wrote one, especially when the problem is something like the lack of energy out of your control, and all we can do is decide to pay attention to what we do have and see in that moment. It can be so hard, but maybe the world is making you look into fear, that lack of what have been giving you motivation and inspiration. The beauty is still there as it lives in you, power or not. And I was like thinking about that specifically, Isaac, where I was like, if I don't have energy, what's the next step? And like I had literally like six solutions pop into my mind like that. So I won't let it stop me. It won't stop me. But me being a Taurus, me being the type of person that I am, I prefer security and I prefer a certain predictability in my day. And if I don't have that, and I feel, it's It's mildly related to, I don't want to label myself, but it's also not something that I'm shy of admitting. Like I am definitely mildly autistic. All of the stuff that I get up to, if you go and look at the actual diagnosing symptoms of an autistic person, I I qualify for all of them, like to a T. Like it's describing my habits, and I'm like, I, I'm not autistic, am I? I'm just like, maybe, maybe it's a little bit, and it's not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing whatsoever, but it is something that I'm willing to admit, and it's something that it's almost like I'm taking care of myself. Like because I know this thing about myself, I get to take care of my person a little bit more efficiently. Because my person tends to be neurotic and a little bit, spastic, crazy, if you will. And by creating these structures, my person gets to be, I believe, a little bit more divine. Like the part of myself that knows gets to be the one in charge instead of just floating through space, because I like floating through space. Space is pretty lit and floating is fun, but if I don't root myself every now and then, I'll just get lost. Just float completely out into the space. Even small amounts of solar panels can be great. One small panel every few years, it will slowly pay itself back. It will pay itself back relatively fast, like within less than a year here in South Africa actually. It's just it's the initial investment. Like the solar panels themselves are not that bad. It's the inverters, like inverters and then the batteries. Those are the real money sinks. Like the solar panels are about 300 bucks for a single one, like a 300-watt panel. It's like 300 bucks here in South Africa. So maybe you can get 10 panels for like $3,000, but I just don't have that right now, right now, yet. Like it's gonna happen in time, and I'm completely patient until that needs to happen. I've wondered about that myself, Mel. I was diagnosed with OCD last year, and again, these are I believe that it's not good for us to just label ourselves, especially if these labels allow us to let go of certain things. Like, oh, I am this way, so this behavior, this thing that I do, this so and so is justifiable. Like being able to look at those things, noticing these parts of ourselves, realizing that these parts of ourselves are characteristic with certain behaviors, certain mindsets, certain way of doing things, and then taking control, taking responsibility, and seeing them, and then trying to steer them in an opposite direction. Like we are so powerful. We just don't practice our power. Our government has a program where you can allow them to install solar panels on your roof. They use some of the power and allow you to use as well anything like that in SA. Unfortunately, we don't have grid feed systems. They maintain it, and I think they just pay a small fee. We don't have that just yet, Eden. Fortunately, like I feel because we have so many power instabilities here in South Africa, more and more South Africans are thinking and are being pushed towards renewables. So like a part of myself is like maybe it's a good thing that we have, energy instability, because now humans actively are thinking about solar, and we have a lot of sun here in South Africa. So it'll actually be good for us. I like when Merman is frisky. I'm laughing. He's such a character. With the topic in mind, I try to remember the mantra: do not attach an idea to an outcome. Thanks for the everyday connection, friends. Helio, thank you, friend, for connecting. I appreciate it so much. Why are you so ridiculously good vibes and likable? I've been actively trying to dislike you for the hell of it, but I can't for the life of me. Martin. I'm joking. So, you know what I believe? I believe the reason, if I'm likable at all, is because I like myself. I have accepted that I'm not a normal person. Like none of us are normal. There's no such thing as normal. And we create this narrative of what a normal person is, and a normal person it works at school, and then a normal person goes to college, and then a normal person gets a job, and then a normal person starts driving a car, and then a normal, and then a how, and then children, and then and then it's like this normal person narrative that we have like just tried to blanket statement over every single person has created this disconnect of us all being these beautifully intricate and weird individuals. And throughout this journey of trying to get to know myself, within getting to know myself, I realized that I'm not going to conform, I'm not going to fit into what the world is expecting me to do. And instead of hating myself for that, loving myself for that and embracing that side of myself. And then doing so in a way where I'm encouraging you to do the exact same, Martin. The reason you could like me is because you see the like in me, liking myself, the self that I'm loving, knowing in my understanding, being the self in you. Me liking me means me liking you, means you liking me. Infinity, dude. It goes into infinity. And I cannot properly explain it, and I know that it sounds like a jumbled up mess, but that's the way it looks like in my head as well. So try and unfold it. Try and melt away everything else and see what stays. I like how Sensane put it yesterday. Looking at these labels and diagnoses like a little voice on your shoulder, something that chirps in your ear and influences you, but you can be aware of it. Exactly. And being able to do certain things that allow that voice to subside, right? Like if there is a certain set of things that you feel you would enjoy doing, and after you do it, that voice appreciates it and stays quiet. Being able to do those things and keeping that voice quiet, serving yourself, right? Like if you feel like you create a sense of tension inside of yourself, if you have no structure, create some structure. It's like you balancing yourself, and every single one of us are individuals and different in that balance as well. Trying to see the beauty of these things as they make you unequivocally you and absolutely beautiful. No, you, Isaac. Couldn't agree more with it, man. I'm not ashamed about it or anything. If anything, it helps me understand myself and how to help myself. That's it, Shannon. And again, it's not something, again, like we're not supposed to fear it. It shouldn't be like, oh, this thing, what if this because of this so and so in my future? No. No, not whatsoever. Tomato juice is a joke. Store bought tomato juice. Pff, it's a joke? Like, what's a joke about it? Isn't it tomato juice? Like, I'm just trying to imagine them putting like, colored water in like a can and putting some tomato flavoring. That's the tomato juice or something. But tomato juice gets made of tomatoes, right? Why is it a joke? I'm confused, Barbarian. You should practice a shower. I wish Kijoma was my dad. You mean by being normal is being contributing member of society. You think I'm not contributing? I wish Koshama was my dad. Like that's the thing as well, What do you think is a worthy contribution? If you save a single life, have you contributed worthily? If you help someone through a difficulty, have you contributed? If you show up and you create a space in which you can help some people, is that contributing? If you show up, create a space, and actually, leave people with something at the end of it they can take into their lives, in turn creating spaces in their lives for other people, and then them helping people, is that contributing? If I start a business, you know, in light of services, in light of people, taking care of people, and I do so and I earn millions of dollars in doing so, and I can then contribute those millions of dollars to, like bettering human lives, being able to create infrastructure for people to experience community, experience, a sense of camaraderie, connection. Am I then contributing? Right? Like you can ask all of these questions, friend, and I plan on doing all of them. But what contributing means is something that's multifaceted. Like if I have a conversation, for example, before I went to China, I was like jobless for like 2 months, and I was living in a commune with friends because I couldn't afford an apartment. And during that time, I made it my absolute goal, like my absolute mission, to be a loving presence at the commune, to be someone to listen to, someone that can someone that listens to you, someone that can be there for you, someone that welcomes you when you come home. And I was like trying to the best of my ability to be a loving presence in that situation. And even though I couldn't contribute financially, even though I couldn't contribute, in any societally acceptable way, I was trying to contribute in the only way that I knew I could, in the only way that I felt was sustainable to my own mental health as well. And again, we create these what if narratives in us where if we're not doing a certain thing, if we're not experiencing a certain number, if we're not, like creating in our lives this narrative of what a good life is supposed to be according to society, then we're supposed to be worrying about what all of the what ifs. I cannot, friend. I cannot. The only thing that I feel serves me is to live the life that I was meant to live, to follow my dreams, to be weirdly me, and to be unapologetic about that. This is a risk I'm taking, friend. Like that's the thing you should notice as well. Like this is no joke for me, yo. I'm like literally betting my life. Betting my life, dude. Everything. Because I believe in it. You know? I do believe you know. I love you, friend. Thank you for asking such good, cool questions. I'm not ashamed. Understand myself. Exactly. I like that, Shannon. It can allow you to understand maybe the thing that upsets you or makes you uncomfortable and why. It can allow you to avoid it and set your life of success, growing constantly. It is more contributing to society. I know, Shannon. Like, I'm not worried. I'm just willing to go through these narratives and ask myself these questions as well. Because if I'm not willing to sit with these questions, if I'm just going to be avoiding of it and be like, oh, I know that I'm doing good work and then just leaving it at that, then I can throw myself into illusion as well. So by referencing these different parts and like asking myself what it is I want to do going forward, I get to be at least as much as I can try to be sober about these questions. So thank you, friend. I appreciate it. More than my job, that's for sure. Isaac, we are playing our roles, Brother Bear. Wherever it is we are, we get to be the loving expression of what it is we're doing. Even if you're, balancing books, if you're selling, like hair shampoo, you are being the loving presence, being the loving expression of the hair shampoo salesman. There's no separation from love. We all play a role and we all are doing exactly what it is we're supposed to be doing in the situation that we are in right now. I just happen to be in a peculiar situation. And along with all of the situations I found myself in throughout life, it has led me to being in this situation. And I could have never what if where it is we are right now. Like I could not even remotely. And I appreciate you friends for being here with me, for spending these moments, for growing, genuinely growing with me. I love the fact that you can rewind the stream. Otherwise, I would have missed your awesome response. Honor to know you, my friend. Martin, thank you. Thank you, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to stream a little bit shorter today. Whew. I feel what needed to be said has been said. And I appreciate you, friends, for hearing what you needed to hear, right? Like I said what I needed to say, but you heard what you needed to hear. And what I wanted to say might not be what you heard, and what you heard might not have been what I wanted to say. And it's perfectly okay, no matter what, right? He's not trying to this being normal. He's simply saying that other ways of contributing to society and yourself without having to conform just to the sake of conformity. Exactly, Martin. Like the biggest thing, the biggest mission, the biggest drive I have for doing this is to live as an encouragement. To be the expression of love. To like, I want to read that thing we're saying again of today. It was like so in tune. Nope, too far back. Goodness. This is nine. Here. Your life shall become that which demonstrates to many the truth that only love is real. You know, and again, no matter how it is you live that life, even if you live the normal life, you can do that. And to encourage that, to encourage people to experience their weirdness, to not conform, to live the way that they're supposed to. Baffle Maker, this is a good and healthy communication and interaction. Thank you for communicating and interacting with me today, Radebe. It's so nice to have you here. Oh, I know, that's what upsets me. I like routine, and I get into a routine where anything out of the routine can cause a lot of stress and anxiety, and I'm trying to find that balance. I'm the same. I'm really the same. I see. I'm the opposite. Averse to routine. The idea of planning it out all freaks me out, so I love when something just takes my day and lets me know what I'm doing. It's so interesting. Both sides of the infinity. I very much feel that every day I hear exactly what I needed to hear here in this space. Thank you, Shannon, for taking what your heart needed. I appreciate that so much. I'm so glad to know you, Shannon. So fun to talk to you, friends, and to get to such a breadth of experience and perspective. I love thinking about all of your words when I'm away from the space. It's like something that ceaselessly influences me as well. You know, like I'll be experiencing a certain set of difficulties and then I'll think about something one of you friends said. Also, Shannon, those sounds have been the only thing to keep me calm when I wake up in the middle of the night. So thank you once again for sharing. I'm so grateful. Influencing one another. Ripples. The ripples of influence we have had on each other's lives is absolutely ridiculous. Thank you for influencing my life, friend, for allowing me in any small way to influence yours. I hope, I pray that I'm influencing your life in a positive way. How do you sustain your living, if I may ask? Martin, thank you for asking, friend. If you're willing to support me, if you're like, how can I dislike Melt? You can support me. You can give me some of your money, and then you can convince yourself to not like me because of that. How about that? So, just jokingly saying, I have a Patreon, and this Patreon is something that I've really appreciated because I get to create flowers. I get to create beautiful things, and I get to share these beautiful things every single day with you, friends. And for as little as $1, Martin, you can support me, dude. You can have access to all of the flowers. I think I've made like 130 of them at this point, maybe 120. A lot of flowers, and you get access to all of them. But you don't need to. And I've already, appreciated you friends being willing to support me as much as you have. A Dift. It's nice to see you again, friend. If I understood you correctly, you don't work. Martin, I'm, studying to become a professional or certified, I think should be the better word, a yoga teacher. And I'm going to start giving yoga classes as well to try and support myself financially. But your friends' help so far, by supporting the Patreon, supporting the daily flowers that I make has already been a massive, massive help. Thank you for making the world a brighter, brighter place, friend. You are an amazing soul. Turples, the light, the love, and the perspective in me notices and appreciates the light, love, and perspective in you. I appreciate you so much, friends, for being in this moment with me. Thank you for the support that you provide just by being here, just by holding this space with me. You are providing support. I appreciate that more than I can say, doesn't it? It all so glad it helps Isaac. Isn't it amazing? Makes me happy to think about these streams throughout my day. So much love to you. Doesn't it? It all takes sharing some love. Imagine how much we can do when bringing in love into the world when we leave, changing the whole, literally infinitely changing the whole. I really want to join the hangout tonight. I'm going to really try to be there. I feel like I want to be with friends right now. You are, Shannon, and you will be. Please do find yourself there if you want to. Sending all the love, Lisa. So much love to you. Yeah, all right. So you do work then. You're just finding your own ways of sustainable living. Love that. That's it, Martin. That's it, my brother Bay. And I'm not a lazy person, dude. A lazy person doesn't show up every single day for 483 days. It's not about me being lazy. In fact, I feel like I'm a workaholic. That the side of myself that really gets committed to something, it doesn't stop. And I have hurt myself more times than I'd like to admit doing that, where I'm just not sleeping properly. And then because I'm not sleeping properly, I don't get time to cook for myself. And then because I don't get time to cook for myself, I'm, perpetually eating junk food. And then I'm hurting myself that way. And it's just this grind. And now I get to work for something that I believe in. Love, community, you friends. I get to work for you because I there's nothing more important than you. Literally, that's where I come from. That's what I'm seeing. We'd love to have you there, friend. I'll let you know if there's anything that makes it tough for you to come. If it's a time constraint, we can alter it for you, friend. Thank you, Isaac. Please, brother Bear. Howdy, howdy! Sorry for tuning out just as you tune in on B. So much love to you. To you too, Slav. Boop to you, Jovan. Meltmore, the most handsome South African fellow. Greetings from Tasmania. By the way, I like seeing your hair in a ponytail. Really? Looks good for you? It works. It works. For some reason, my hair has been perpetually this length. Like it's just like, yeah, this is just how long your hair is, and it doesn't grow for some reason. So the ponytails work as well. The most adorable Texan girl in the world. So much love. Yeah, no, I didn't at all pursue you as lazy. Was just curious since you mentioned work being normal. Thought you had found another way around it, and I wanted to know your secret. Martin, I've worked normal jobs as well. At one point in my life, I was a salesman for like a year. At one point in my life, I was an English teacher for like a year and a half. And I did those things, and I experienced what it was like to do those things, but I felt this gnawing, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, and that was like ruining like my soul. I felt like I was like dying as I was doing it. Smoking sister girl. Oh goodness, you two are too kind. I swear we'll have my schedule or call and pen and we'll catch up. Thank you for the love. Friends, I appreciate you more than I can express, more than I can say. Thank you for joining me. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you so much, Isaac. It's really just anxiety, but I know I'll have to worry about nothing about the what ifs. The what ifs. You'll be okay. You'll be okay. More often than not, you're gonna be okay, Shannon. A little part of me also finds it fun to be a mystery. Ooh. Our tall, most beautiful, pierced friend. Thank you so much, Shannon. We love and appreciate you, no matter how much you choose to share. Funny you say that. I sent a message maybe 7 minutes ago. Thank you for sharing love. Slav, thank you for sharing love with me, friends. Have an amazing day. I'll see you, friends, again tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.